Hey y'all, welcome back to part 2 of 7 days in the Galapagos. We start off day 4 on Santa Cruz Island. On this day, we actually spent the entire day on land. We started off with a visit to the Galápagos National Park. Our amazing tour guide Danny walked us through the park. We stopped every so often to get a little bit of history, find out some information about the conservation efforts, and of course, to give us some time to take photos. The park was a lot bigger than I anticipated, and there was so much to learn. Check out some of this information that Danny shared with us.
This is a new species for Galápagos Island that actually was declared by the National Park to be found in 1959. Tortoises competing with introduced animals, and less than 30 years, all of them will disappear from Galápagos Island.
The nerd in me really enjoyed this because now it was more than just the pictures. Now we were talking about conservation efforts, how they're making sure that these communities are thriving, and it was all just really interesting to me. Our next stop was the Charles Darwin Research Station. The research station also gave us some insight on the research projects that had been going on Santa Cruz Island for years. There are so many species here that can be found nowhere else in the world. When we approached the Charles Darwin Center, I must admit it was a little bit smaller than I expected, but it was still very informative and very nice. The research station was pretty interesting. It was set up similar to a museum, so we just ended up walking around a little bit, taking in some of the information, looking at some of the timeline, and just learning a little bit more about their efforts. Of course, us being us, we have to squeeze in some time to have fun, and here's Marley trying to turn herself into a tortoise. After some time at the station, it was time for our activities. The first activity, bike riding. So the objective here was to ride bikes from this point down to the point where we would have lunch and visit the ginormous tortoises. I was really excited about this activity because I love bike riding. Y'all, I quickly learned that this was no easy Atlanta Beltline type of ride. It almost took me out.
How you feeling? I feel great. It was such an easy ride. Just felt like I was in the breeze, you know. I had to stop. I had to stop a few times and say, "Come on, guys, hurry it up," you know. So, just this last part, I was like, well, I'll just slow down and, get behind everybody else. That's just exactly in case. What happened. Yeah.
We made it. Struggle bus number 1
and 2.
and 2.
Team lazy.
We made it though. We made it. That's what matters. Jesus Christ.
Y'all, we don't look like this for no reason. We were struggling on those bikes, let me tell you. But then we got there and continued to have some fun. Here we are, well, not me, but here they are, the 2 guys in our group making sugarcane juice. So the area we stopped in turned out to be a small cultural area where we were able to see them make rum from sugarcane in the traditional way.
Firewater, yeah. And you?
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
You are ready?
Right.
We ride together. Galapagos bikers for life.
To me. Do you like it?
Yeah, that was the perfect reward for the struggle I endured on those bikes. Our next stop was finally lunch. We had lunch at a restaurant that was right in the midst of a park that housed the ginormous, gigantic, famous Galapagos tortoises. Y'all, this right here was the piece de resistance pour moi. Right after lunch, we put on some tall rubber boots and ventured out into the field where the Galapagos tortoises were chilling. Y'all, I have to say, this was really neat to see. These bad boys are like 80 years old, 100 years old. I mean, these are like living dinosaurs, it felt like. And it was so cool to be there, hopping over their poo, taking photos, and just watching them move about their natural environment. The guides walked around with us, so they did stop every so often to just give us a little bit of information and to tell us more about these Galapagos tortoises and their habitat. What I found most interesting is that on every island, the specific species of Galapagos tortoises are different. So these tortoises are different from the tortoises in the last video that we hiked to go see in a more dry terrain. Isn't that interesting? It's wild because you think about as a kid, you see these places in your textbooks, you see these photos in your textbooks, but you never once think you'll be there one day. On our way back to the dock, we made a few interesting stops. The first was on a farm where they invited us to go into a cave and see a baby owl. Now, once again, half the group was like, y'all can have that. We'll wait out here. And the rest of us were like, sign me up. Let's go.
Dragons, bears, monkeys, a saber-toothed tiger. So, let's see.
So while Tamiko's back there telling the story, this is what we get in there and see. This little baby owl. And then 2 minutes later, we look to the left and we were already out the cave. It was not scary at all. It was just the idea that it could be scary that scared a lot of people off. And I thought that in itself was a life lesson and really interesting to learn. We came out the cave like we had been through it, but we were literally down there for about a good 3.5 minutes, if that. When we caught back up with the rest of the group, Marley shared with us that she had already started writing out the whole documentary series about how she, the sole survivor, made it back in one piece. She even started trying to figure out who would cast us. I just asked to have Lauryn Hill play me. Back at the dock, we had a little bit of time to just peruse Santa Cruz Island for a little bit. So, of course, we went to check out some of the bars and walk around the city. Earlier that day, we passed a street that seemed like it was the spot. So, we walked back to that street to check out what was going on. We quickly realized that it was a tourist area as everyone was standing outside trying to get us to come into their restaurant for their happy hour and their meal. We didn't have a whole lot of time, so we walked down to the inn and we found a guy with 2-for-1 drinks. We ordered some drinks, sat there, and had a time just discussing the crazy day we had had.
Of signing up for random shit.
Yeah. Not going in a lava cave.
I gotta say, as challenging as the day was, it was great to do it with this group of people.
Let me tell you. Start coming out. Had a long day. But cheers.
After enjoying our drinks, we made it back to the dock just in time to board our Zodiac back to the ship. Even though we had had a pretty long day, after dinner, we decided to go up to the top deck and chill out with some drinks and the game University of Dope. Let me tell you, this was one of the best parts of the trip. It was really nice just to have a space to connect and bring a little bit of our culture into the Ecuadorian culture. Day 5 was another fun and challenging adventure. I couldn't help but start my day thinking about that bike ride.
So today, we finally have a day, or a morning really, because we still want to do some stuff in the afternoon. To just chill. Not completely, still work to be done, but this has been amazing. So yesterday, I decided I'm gonna go bike riding. I love bike riding. I got a bike at home. You know, I ride on Atlanta Beltline all day. Not maybe all day, but you know. And I just knew that it's gonna be easy breezy, you know. Atlanta has a little bit of terrain to it, you know, so I got it. I got on them damn heavy ass mountain bikes. Struggle bus. You hear me? Struggle bus. I have barely any footage. I have no footage of my own of me on these bikes. Why? Because I struggled the entire time.
So that morning, I hung around the ship and eavesdropped a little bit on Tamiko's photo shoot with Rick. That afternoon, we got back in our wetsuits and we went out for our first paddleboard adventure on the water.
Brand, how you feel?
I'm a little nervous, ain't gonna lie.
I'm a little nervous too.
Okay.
I'm out here looking like a sea lion.
This is the ultimate struggle bus test.
This is the first time for both of us.
And we on these, I thought we were sharing a paddleboard.
No, we on our own paddleboard.
I didn't know that. That is now what is freaking me out.
Well, I mean, we right here in the same area. I keep my eye on you.
Unless a sea lion come through, then your ass is gonna be turned into back to Michael Phelps again. It's gonna be back at the White Sands.
Y'all know she's talking about that incident back in part 1 with the sea lions. Ugh. Y'all, we had a time. Look at poor Dr. Christina as she's struggling while Tamiko's over here having a full-blown conversation with the tour guide back on the boat.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Now, as for me, I'd like to say that I did a good job, but y'all, I didn't know what to do with that stick. It just was not moving the water the way I wanted it to, and the waves were so rough. What was I thinking? This was the middle of the ocean, not a pond. Ultimately, though, we had a great time and created some great memories. The next day was our last day of adventure.
Marley, how do you feel?
I feel great.
Okay.
Hoping that it's gonna be okay.
All right. It is. How you feel, Marley? Okay. How you feel?
I feel okay.
Good.
She convinced me to go back in. She said, "Come on, just go float." I said, "All right." We love it. Hold on.
Now, this was really exciting because Marley is not a swimmer, but we managed to get her out to deep sea snorkel with the rest of us. This was nice because it was our last adventure all together.
I have had an amazing day. Let me tell you. I've been snorkeling twice, deep sea, saw a shark, an eagle stingray or eagle ray, whatever it's called, and loads of just amazing fish. Right now they're going out to do another hike, our last hike, where they're supposed to see some more blue-footed boobies, but we did see a blue-footed booby earlier this week. So I'm gonna take a rest. That snorkeling took me out. That was a total of maybe an hour and a half of snorkeling, and it's wavy out here, so I'm proud of myself though.
Yes, y'all, your girl was tired. I was using my whole body to kick those waves while we were snorkeling. So after lunch, I just took a rest on the top deck and watched people come and go. That evening, we got a little dressed up and enjoyed our last evening aboard Santa Cruz 2. Well, all good things come to an end, and on that last day, we said our goodbyes and flew back to Quito to fly back to our respective homes. Y'all, we had a tiring but amazing week. We connected with great people and really enjoyed some A1 hospitality. I would definitely go back in a heartbeat. Make sure you subscribe to catch us on the next adventure.